Today we'll discuss Fourier series. Okay, so before starting the Fourier series or the expansion of a signal, let me just give you a brief introduction to a vector, and because there's an analogy between the Fourier series expansion and the vector decomposition. So let me just first explain you something related to the vector. Suppose you have a vector, say this x is a vector, okay, and you have another vector which is a two-dimensional vector, and say this vector is g vector, okay, and say I want to represent this vector g in terms of vector x. Obviously you cannot, because the g is a two-dimensional vector, and however x is a one-dimensional. Still we can just approximate this g can be something, a constant c multiplied with a vector x, okay, we can represent, okay. However this uh, there is an error. Basically the g vector we have just approximated, but actually you can say the error in the s, and there will be an error, and this error will be equal to g vector minus cx vector. So again this e is an error vector, and this error vector is nothing. Okay, let me first take this cx. So cx is something like this, okay, say this is your cx vector. So the e is nothing, e is this, basically is a vector something like this. Or if you change the value of c, increase the value of c, so it is something like, the cx will be something like this. In that case your e will be a vector something like this. So in both cases the error vector is high. However, if you want to minimize the error vector, what you have to do graphically, basically this error vector should be something like this. Actually, if the vector is something like this, then error is minimum, okay. So let me just again draw this part. Suppose this is your x vector, this is your vector g, okay, and you want to represent g in terms of x. So if you have an error vector something like this, okay, so you can say the error length is minimum, and say this angle is theta, okay. So if this is the case, you can say g cos theta, obviously this is a vector, okay, or the length of the g cos theta, which is nothing, which is the projection of g vector over x vector. This is our x vector, the g vector. So this will be equal to cx, okay. Now from here you can also write it down something like this: mod of g into cos theta is equal to, c is constant, mod of x. You can just write like this also. Further, if on the both sides you multiply by x, so you will be getting, mod of g into mod of x. So we are multiplying both sides by mod of x, to cos theta is equal to c x mod into x mod, okay. So this is equal to, then the expression will be something, is equal to c x square, okay. So from here you can say that the c will be equal to g mod of g into mod of x into cos theta divided by mod of x square, okay. Remember this thing we are writing under the condition that this, you are projecting this vector, on the x-axis. In that case, if you are projecting, so this error will be minimum, basically, okay. So error is minimum when the error vector is normal to the x-axis, okay, and the other end, the other tip of the error vector is joining with the tip of the vector g. Now we can just conclude from here that we have just derived the value of x, sorry, value of c which is equal to mod of g into mod of x. Okay, let me just write it again. See, what we have derived is mod of g into mod of x into cos theta divided by mod of x square. Okay, so this thing can also be written as basically the numerator part is nothing, it's the basically dot product between the vector g and x. So the dot product g and x we can just write in this way, that's a representation. So these we are just keeping it in a triangular bracket, so it's indicate the dot product between g and x. We also call it an inner product between g and x. Similarly in the denominator, okay, you can just write down as the inner product between x with itself. Okay, so then finally we can just write down a statement which is saying, okay, if c is equal to this, then error is minimum. Okay, now if theta is equal to 0, if sorry theta is equal to 90 degree, say if theta is equal to 90 degree, okay, then in that case vector g and vector x are orthogonal. So these vectors are orthogonal. For the orthogonal, the dot product for orthogonal vectors, the dot product between g and x will be 0, or we can say the inner product between g and x will be 0. It means this, the inner product that is here, this will be equal to 0 if theta is equal to 90 degree. So in that case c will be equal to 0. Okay, so c will be equal to, so we represent the vector g in terms of vector x. So there's some analogy, or the same analogy basically we can use in signals. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, and let me just change the color. Okay, now let's apply this whatever we have discussed so far. Let's apply that analogy to a signal. Okay, let gt is some signal, okay, which is defined for, say, t is from t1 to t2 for this duration. Okay, and you have some other signal xt, you have some other signal xt. So you can express this gt, or you can approximate this gt in terms of xt. So gt is approximated to c of xt. Obvious, if you are approximating it, there is an error. Okay, so the error signal will be equal to the actual value of gt, sorry, this error will be equal to the gt minus approximate value of gt, that is c of xt. Okay, now in order to minimize this error, basically we will try to minimize the energy of the error signal. We will try to minimize the energy of this signal. So what is the energy of this error signal? What's the formula for the energy? We have already discussed the formula for energy. Okay, the energy of E will be equal to integral E square t dt. Since the signal is defined from t1 to t2, we are just observing from t1 to t2. We can just say from t1 to t2. The limits are not from minus infinity to infinity, but from t1 to t2. So this will be, in this expression we can just substitute the value of this et, which is gt minus c of x of t square of this dt. This is from t1 to t2. Okay, so then you can just write down here this energy of error signal will be equal to, okay, integral t1 to t2 g square t dt plus integral of c square x square t dt from t1 to t2 minus twice of integral of gt xt dt from t1 to t2. Okay, so our goal is to minimize the energy. So what we can do, we can just differentiate this E with respect to C. Okay, so we'll and then equate this to 0. So if you differentiate this, basically we need to differentiate this expression with respect to E. So what we'll be getting basically, okay, one thing is missing in this expression. Actually, C should also be there. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so if we differentiate this expression of E, okay, and then equate this to 0, what we'll be getting? Let me just write it down. So we'll be getting C, which is equal to integral t1 to t2 gt into x of t dt divided by integral of xt square. I'm just writing x2 into xt dt. So the limits are from t1 to t2. So that's the value of C, which is minimizing the error. Okay, so if you're minimizing error, it means your approximation is better. Actually, it's good. Anyway, so in this expression of C, the numerator part is nothing. It's the inner product between the two signals, basically gt comma xt. So that's the inner product between the two signals gt and xt, and denominator part is nothing. It's the inner product between the signal itself xt comma xt. Just remember the analogy, okay? So which we have discussed for the case of two vectors where we have represented the g in terms of f x. So here also we have represented a signal gt in terms of xt, and here we are getting the expression of c, which is minimizing the error energy, and which is nothing, which is equal to the inner product of the g and x divided by the inner product of x with itself. Okay, so just remember the analogy. In the previous slides we have seen that the expression of the c, and here also we have seen the expression of the c. Now let's move to the next part. Again, let's go back to the vector notation. Suppose you have a vector x and you have a vector y. Okay, so this is x1 vector. Okay, let's call it x1 and x2. This is the x2. These two vectors are orthogonal to each other. Okay, and you have a two-dimensional vector which is g basically. Okay, so what we have done in the previous case, we have represented, let me just change the color. We have represented the vector g, or approximated the vector g in terms of vector x1 only basically. That's the thing we have done earlier. Okay, so obvious there's an error. This implies an error. So the error, there was an error vector, and that error vector was equal to g minus c of x1t. So the error was not 0. However, if you take this expression, say g vector, this will be equal to c1 x1 c2 x2. So in the here it will be working basically. So here I'm not approximating, basically this is a true value. You can represent any a two-dimensional vector in terms of two orthogonal vectors. That's well known basically. Okay, obviously this is true only when x1 and x2 are orthogonal. Orthogonal means the inner product between the two is 0. Okay, orthogonal का क्या मतलब है? So that's x1 bar x2 bar. So the inner product between the two is 0, or dot product between the two is 0. So it implies that if we represent a two-dimensional vector with two orthogonal vectors, then there is no error. Okay, if we represent two-dimensional vector, here we had g is a two-dimensional vector, and we have represented it in terms of two orthogonal vectors. Those orthogonal vectors are x1 and x2. so there is no error. Basically you can absolutely represent that. Okay, similarly if you have a three-dimensional vector, okay, suppose you have a three-dimensional vector, so we need three orthogonal vectors to represent. Okay, so for three-dimensional vector we need three orthogonal vectors, okay, to represent. Okay, so if you have n-dimensional vector, okay, to represent an n-dimensional vector, okay, we need n number of orthogonal vectors. Okay, so just keep this in mind actually. Okay, now let's come back to the signal. Let me just change the color. Okay, okay, let we have set of n orthogonal signals. Remember I'm talking about signals now. Okay, and those signals are, say, x1t, x2t, say x of capital N-T. So there are n number of signals, and we are saying that these are orthogonal to each other. Orthogonal here, I mean that the inner product, that x1t with x2t, this is equal to 0. Or you can take x1t with any other signal, say x7t, so this is 0. Or any two pair if you take, and the inner product should be equal to 0, it means they are orthogonal to each other. Now let me just change the color. Let you are representing that a signal gt in terms of these orthogonal signals. So let me put an approximation sign. So it is c1 x1t. I'm just applying the analogy because in the previous slide you have seen that a two-dimensional vector was represented using a two orthogonal vectors. Oh, okay. In the same way, three-dimensional vector can be represented using three orthogonal vector. Similarly, a two-dimensional signal can be, basically here you can say, you can represent the signal in terms of basically orthogonal signals. So I'm just trying to represent this in a signal gt in terms of n number of orthogonal vectors. So c2x2t, you have cn x and t. Okay, so from here basically you're having et, the error will be equal to gt minus of what, minus c1 x1t plus c2 x2t, so on till cn. Okay, so let me just write this in a complex, using a complex representation. So gt minus summation c1, sorry, let's put a ci and xit, and I is from 1 to capital N. Okay, so in order to minimize the error, okay, in order to minimize this error, we need to minimize the energy of this error signal. Okay, so the energy of the error signal et should be minimized. Okay, so if we want to minimize that, so what we'll be doing basically, we'll be again applying the same thing. We'll be differentiating this with respect to c, basically all the c's, basically c1 c2 c3 and all those things. C1 will be doing d with respect to c2, and it's just equating all these things with 0 and just calculating the value of c1 and c2. So finally what I would like to say here is the expression of the cn, the expression of the cn, sorry, will be equal to integral of gt, the original signal, x, okay, let put, okay, let me just put xi, xit, and the limits are from t1 to t2, divide by integral t1 to t2 x of I square t dt. Okay, we're obvious the I is 1 2 till capital N. Okay, as n tends to infinity, okay, the the energy of the air signal tends to zero. So anyway, what you have seen here, basically the Cn is nothing, is the inner product between the original signal Gt, which you want to reconstruct in terms of the orthogonal signals, with the xit, and divide by the energy of the xit for that duration t1 to t2. So let me just, for the sake of completeness, let me just write down few expressions. So we can just write it down something like this. C1 is nothing, it's the integral of gt x1t divided by x1t square. Limits are from t1 to t2. Similarly for C2, that's equal to integral of gt x2t dt divided by x integral of x square t. Okay, and so on. Similarly, C3 also, let me just write down C3 also. C3 will be equal to integral of gt with x3t dt divided by integral of x3 square t for all the okay, obviously let me just put the limits t1 to t2, and this is t1 to t2. So as you can see, the in all these expressions of c1 c2 c3, the numerator part is nothing, it's the inner product between the gt and the corresponding signal. In the first case you can see it's in the numerator you can see an inner product of the gt with the x1t, and the denominator is nothing, it's the inner product of x1t with itself. Same is applicable for other two. Okay, so just keep this in mind basically. So this is just a representation. Here we can just minimize the error if we use this. Now before going to the trigonometric Fourier series, let me just ask you, suppose you have a signal cos of n omega naught t, and you have another signal cos m omega naught t, and say m is not equal to n, and m comma n both are integers. Okay, so in that case, if you calculate the inner product between the two for a time period t, because both are periodic signal, and the say the t is equal to 2 pi by omega naught. Okay, both are periodic signal having a time period t. So let's calculate its inner product. Inner product is nothing, it is cos of n omega naught t multiplied with cos of m omega naught t dt, and just indicate it for one time period, say 0 to t. So if you solve this, you'll find that this is equal to 0 when m is not equal to n, and this is equal to capital T by 2 when m is equal to n. Okay, so in the same way, if you check these two signals, say sine n omega naught t and sine m omega naught t, you'll find these two signals are orthogonal to each other if you integrate this. So let me just write down sine n omega naught t multiplied with sine m omega naught t dt. You will find that this is equal to 0 for m, for n is not equal to m, and this is equal to t by 2 when m is equal to n. So it means that these two signals, let me just change the color. that these two signals, this signal and this signal, these two signals are orthogonal to each other, as also we have seen this signal and this signal are orthogonal to each other. Okay, not only this, basically if you take another signal, let's take a signal sine n omega naught t, and another signal say cos n omega naught t. If you find the integral of this also, say 0 to t sine n omega naught t multiplied with cos n omega naught t dt. So this will also come out to be 0 when n is not equal to m. Okay, so what you have seen in this slide, basically we have seen that cos and sine are orthogonal to each other, or you can say, for example, you can say that, let me just change the color. You can easily say that cos of say 2 pi ft is orthogonal to cos of 2 pi to ft. And also, so these two are orthogonal to each other. Also you can say, suppose you take another signal cos of 2 pi 3ft. So these two also orthogonal to each other, as well as these two are also orthogonal to each other. Okay, so you have seen the condition. The condition is that if the two signals are orthogonal, it means the inner product should be 0. Okay, so let me just explain you the trigonometric Fourier series. So basically, if you have any periodic signal, okay, that can be represented by the linear combination of sines and cosines which are harmonically related to each other. So let me first write down any periodic signal can be represented by the linear combination of sines and cosines signals which are harmonically related to each other. Harmonically related means, say they have a frequency, the one is having frequency omega naught, the other one is having twice of omega naught, the third one is having thrice of omega naught. So let me first represent this in terms of represent a signal G in terms of this. Basically, suppose you have a signal GT, let me just represent it. So you have A naught addition with, okay, A1 multiply with cos of omega naught t, addition with A2 cos of twice of omega naught t, A3 cos of thrice of omega naught t, and so on. It will go till infinity. Also we will be having some terms B1 sine omega naught t addition with B2 sine twice of omega naught t addition with B3 sine thrice of omega naught t, and it will go till infinity. So basically we can just write this in a short, basically. Okay, A naught addition with summation an cos of n omega naught t, where n is from 1 to infinity. Also will be having a term bn multiply with sine of n omega naught t, where this n is from 1 to infinity. Okay, now here what is a, what is a naught, or what is a and what is b. So let me just write down the expression. Just using the analogy which you have seen earlier, here we'll be writing Okay, an will be equal to, will be nothing, inner product of gt with cos of n omega naught t dt. Okay, so here this is nothing, this is an inner product, it's a numerator part, divide by the cos square n omega naught t dt, where t is from 0 to capital T. Okay, and similarly the bn will be equal to integral of gt cos, not cos, now it will be sine and omega naught t divided by integral sine square and omega naught t. Okay, obviously you have to put dt here and put the limits from 0 to t. Okay, so these are the expressions, and you can see from these expressions of an and bn, basically numerator is nothing, it's an inner product, and which you have seen in the previous case also when we were using a vector, when I was explaining this in terms of a vector. So they also, you are using a inner product of the vector g with the x. Here also we have an inner product vector g with the x. However, if this a, the expression for the a, uh, the expression which I have written here, basically this is true for all values of n from 1 2 3 till infinity. Okay, but what about a naught? So a naught, for the a naught, basically we are multiplying a signal x naught t, which is 1. So I can just write down this expression of a naught with a different color. So the a naught is equal to integral gt with 1 dt 0 to t divide by integral 0 to t 1 square dt. Okay, so if we just further simplify all the three expressions, we'll be getting these things. Let me write here. So basically a naught will be equal to 1 by capital T integral 0 to t gt dt, and an will be equal to 2 by capital T integral 0 to t gt cos of n omega naught t dt, and bn will be equal to 2 by capital T integral 0 to t gt sin n omega naught t dt. Okay, so basically what we have done, we have just represented the gt in terms of, we have represented this in terms of sine n omega naught t as well as cos of n omega naught t, obvious, for n is 1 2 till infinity. Okay, so that's a Fourier series, and we call it trigonometric Fourier series because we are representing a function gt in terms of trigonometric functions, that is sine and cosine. Okay, thank you.